Nick Baldwin for SevereMMA here with the newest addition to the UFC's bantamweight roster. It is Journey Newson who takes on Ricardo Ramos this Saturday night at UFC Minneapolis. Journey, appreciate you taking the time. I'm just curious, first sort of reaction, how does it feel to be part of the UFC and on the UFC roster?
It feels pretty good. It's been a long time coming. I've been training for 10 plus years, so I'm hoping to make a statement.
Are you a little surprised it happened now? Do you feel like now's the right time, or could it have happened a bit sooner?
I definitely feel like it's the right time now. Everything was kind of placed in stone for me throughout the years, and this feels like the perfect time for me to get into the UFC.
Does it feel like, does it feel surreal, or you seem to be fairly relaxed? For your first UFC fight week, does it feel normal? Does it feel right? What's sort of going through your mind right now?
It's pretty surreal, but at the same time, I'm a relaxed guy, and I'm pretty mellow. And even after wins, I don't really celebrate, a lot. So this is just a normal fight for me.
How did you find out about this? You're stepping up on short notice for an injured Sergio Pettis, taking on Ricardo Ramos. How did this all come together, and is the short notice an issue, really?
I've taken short notice fights before, along with a lot of other fighters, I'm pretty sure, so it's not too big of a deal. Ricardo Ramos is a high-level fighter, so we are taking this as serious as we can take it. But yeah, it's no big deal for me for a short notice fight.
How long have you had to prepare for Ricardo?
2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks, and I've been constantly training over the last year or so. The 2 weeks is basically just for him.
So you think 2 weeks is enough time to sort of prepare for your opponent, watch a bit of tape perhaps, and sort of figure out how this matchup sort of plays out?
It's the time that we were given, and we're just going to have to make it work.
Okay. You're taking on, as I said, Ricardo Ramos. What do you see in him? How do you feel this matchup goes? Where are you better? Where could he challenge you? What do you think about the actual matchup stylistically?
I think for my first match with the UFC, it is short notice. It's a tough fight, regardless who it is. This is the UFC. But I feel I match up pretty well with him. The only problem I have is that he does have 4 fights in the UFC. This is his fight. So he probably already got the UFC jitters out of the way, and that's typically kind of the only thing I'm worried about is just my jitters. Hopefully I can, keep calm.
But that is something you're thinking about. You're thinking about anyways. Maybe I will get a little nervous before walking out, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe, and that's always a maybe with me. As soon as I'm warmed up and taped up, ready to go, that can change.
You're 9-1 as a pro MMA fighter, correct? And I saw you took a couple boxing matches earlier this year, right?
Yes.
Talk to me about that. Why go from MMA to boxing temporarily, I guess?
The boxing matches were technically for me just to get my hands wet for MMA. I just wanted to do a little bit more striking and force myself to get in there and strike, and I thought the best way to do that was to take some boxing matches.
Okay. And were you having difficulties finding fights on the local circuit in MMA, or was that okay and you just wanted to, as you said, sort of tighten up the holes on the feet? Was it a matter of staying active, or?
It was a matter of staying active as well, okay, but tightening up my hands for the feet.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe you grew up in foster care, right?
Yes.
Okay. Talk to me about that. How did that go? What was that experience like growing up?
It was definitely a different experience from a lot of other kids who grew up with both their parents or maybe even a single parent. I definitely feel like it's raised me to be the man I am today and just keep chasing the dreams that I've had for quite some time.
If you don't mind me asking, what led you to being in that situation?
What situation?
Being in foster care.
Well, my mom was she was a drug addict, and they basically just kept taking us away from her from time to time. My dad was always trying to get my mom to be in the picture and just try to support us as a family, but her choice was drugs, unfortunately, and it cost us it cost all of our the 4 kids that they had a lot of time away from them.
Okay.
Yeah.
How would you describe growing up? How would you describe your childhood? Was it difficult? Did you make it work? How would you, looking back on it now, how would you describe it?
I had a Good childhood. I really do. I think I had a really good childhood for at least what I had. Um, I still kind of grew up with my siblings from time to time, mostly with my little brother Jarrell. Uh, but I think it was fine. We had a good childhood.
Growing up in a foster home, was that tough at first, and were you able to sort of adjust and adapt and make it work? What was that like, especially early on?
Say again?
Just living up in an actual home with a lot of kids and in that setting.
It was okay. There wasn't a lot of kids. We had foster care parents, and it was maybe just us. There were sometimes one or two other kids in there as well, but it wasn't too much of a big deal.
Okay. Do you want to use this platform you have now in the UFC in mixed martial arts as a way to inspire foster kids that are growing up now?
Yeah, I definitely hope that the level that I'm at now with the sorry with the past that I've had, I feel like it's a good motivation for kids who are down in the dumps and don't think they can make something of themselves.
Do you? I mean, I don't know exactly how it'll work, but do you want to visit foster homes? Going as you move,
Yeah, I would
go
love
through your
to.
life, and yeah.
Yeah, I would love to visit foster homes and try to reach out to kids. That'd be awesome, especially after a UFC event. I kind of get my name out there. People know me on TV. I think that would be a really good idea.
And speaking at schools, perhaps that's just another idea I'm thinking of.
Yeah, yeah, schools as well, but mostly I think
Visiting them.
I can actually hit foster homes and kind of talk to kids directly instead of like a whole big group.
Okay. Journey, your last question for you, and I appreciate the time you're taking on Ricardo Ramos, your UFC debut here in Minneapolis this Saturday. How do you feel like you get it done?
I feel like I'm getting this done by either a TKO or knockout.
Okay. Any round?
We'll say second round.
Journey, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it, and best of luck to you on Saturday.
Thank you.